First of all, let me say, welcome to the Unleash Your Greatness Within podcast. And listen, I just have a quick story that I want to share with you because we're at a time now where demanding the best from yourself, if yesterday wasn't a good time to do it, today is.
You already know. My passion and my mission to help you unleash your greatness within. My heart goes out to the underdogs that's on their way. If you think you can go from good to great, okay, let's motivate. GreatnessWithin.com. TJ Hoisington. GreatnessWithin.com.
The only way you're gonna determine your own destiny is if you are willing to put more weight on your lifting or to grow your muscles, right? You can't continually lift 5 pounds and expect your muscle to grow. You've got to lift 10 pounds and 15 pounds, and that's the same with life. Listen, I'm all about effort, but I'm also about working smart. So let me just share with you about Sylvester Stallone. He knew throughout his early years of the career, he knew what it meant to demand the best out of yourself. He was a great example of that. He put more demand on himself than anyone else could. When everybody else was taking a break, he was hustling. Did you know that he wrote the first Rocky film in 3.5 days? You know that? He got inspired by watching a Chuck Wepner fight, and then boom, within 3 days he couldn't sleep, and he wrote the basic script for that movie, and later on, he became the actor in it. It won a number of Academy Awards on a budget of less than $1 million. Originally, he wasn't going to be the actor in it. Someone else was, but he convinced the studio to use him at a discounted rate, and the rest is history. But one thing I discovered about, him and other high achievers is that they know how to put demand on themselves. I remember reading the book, Tim Ferriss's book. I kept thinking, even Tim Ferriss is a hard worker. He's working more than a 4-hour work week. And so my thought was, what did Sylvester Stallone do to get where he ultimately felt like he was successful? And we all have an internal standard, a barometer that determines where we need to be until we feel successful. But I got a quick story to share with you, and this is Sylvester Stallone's. When he was filming the third installment of Rambo in Afghanistan, he said he put so much demand on himself. This is what he said, and I got this out of his only book that he's ever authored called Sly Moves. He says, during that time, the workout routines were usually what we call supersets and split sets with 15 to 20 sets of exercise targeting every part of the body. I literally, he said, lived in the gym. Then I would come home at night, and before bed, I would do 200 sit-ups, 250 push-ups, 100 chin-ups. Referring to Rambo 3, he said, we would wake up at 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes it would be 95 degrees outside. He said, I ate chicken and green vegetables 7 days a week, twice a day. And then he says, I'm proud to say by the end of the shoot, I had nearly grown an attractive layer of feathers. For many years, I was incredibly competitive with myself. What does he mean by feathers? Yeah, the ripples of muscle in his back, in his abs, and so forth. He became so lean and so ripped. And he talks about how he put so much of a demand on himself. And I remember a cool little thing he said as I was watching the bonus features on one of the videos of one of the movies that he did. I remember he was telling the story about after when they were promoting Rambo 3, he was driving down Santa Monica Boulevard and he looked up and there was a billboard and it was a picture of him with his back toward the cars or toward the streets. So you looked up and you could see Rambo or Sylvester Stallone standing there with his knife in his hand down by his side, and you could see all the ripples in his back. And guess what that billboard said? Rambo's back for Rambo 3. And he said at that time, that was the first time he realized he had really, truly made it in Hollywood. Now, that's being competitive with yourself because he had had many successful films before that. So his standard was really high. But I can't help but think about Michael Jordan as another one. Michael Jordan, I don't know if you knew this, when he did the old film with Warner Brothers, where he was the live person in with a bunch of cartoons, that old movie from Warner Brothers called, what was that called? Space Jam. It was called Space Jam. So in that movie, did you know that he had asked to have a basketball court built outside of the studio so that during and between his shoots, when he had a break, what was he doing? He wasn't just sitting in the trailer relaxing. He was hustling. When everybody else was taking a break, he was out there hustling. And you know what? As I have studied high achievers over the years, and I've written about them, that's one thing that I see all the time is they are willing to put in the time and the effort. Even Malcolm Gladwell talked about the 10,000 hour rule before you become an expert. And he gives all these examples of people that put in the time and the effort for 10,000 hours before they ever made it. And it's going to be the same with you. You can't expect, especially during this time, the coronavirus, you cannot expect to watch 6, 7, 8 hours of television or screen time on your iPads and on your tablets and devices a day and expect that you're going to be in a position to thrive a few months from now. No, you've got to be using your time wisely. There's one thing we all get, and that's 24 hours of time. Nobody gets more, nobody gets less. So you've got to use this time to your benefit. You got to think like an entrepreneur. You've got to give your all. If you've got an idea in you, this is the time to act on that idea. The world has slowed down, but that doesn't mean you should be slowing down. You need to hustle and bust a move and burn that midnight oil. If you've got a book in you, you need to stay up and you need to write into the night or get up earlier in the morning and write every day, inch by inch. Everything is a cinch, but yard by yard, it's hard. That's what Les Brown once said. Let me tell you something. You're going to have to dig in and give your very best if you expect to thrive after this is through. And I would say there's a fine balance between those people that think this is going to go on for a long time and that the future is dire, and those people that want to get out and get to work. Listen, we got to find that happy medium sooner rather than later. It wasn't meant for human beings to sit on the sidelines and not grow and not express and not have a voice and not write. Human beings are built to grow. You ask a tree, how tall will a tree grow? A tree will grow as tall as it will grow. It'll just keep growing, right? Human beings, we tend to put limitations on ourselves. Most limitations, by the way, are mental and self-imposed. And I ask you, what limitations have you put on yourself? Where are you relaxing where you shouldn't be relaxing? Where should you be burning the midnight oil? Where should you take that idea you had 16 years ago and put it to work today? The world is changing. It's adapting. How are you going to run your business differently? How are you going to lead people when 40% of your office is still in quarantine and you're running your business with people in their homes? Hey, the world's going to change. And how are you going to capitalize on that and still get results? Hey, that's a choice you got to make. But I'll tell you what, sitting on the sidelines thinking that when it's all over, then I'll get to work, I got news for you. It's not going to happen for you. So get after it. Be like Sylvester Stallone. Be like, Michael Jordan. Unbelievable. He lived by 3 rules, by the way. You know what those 3 rules were? Number 1, know the fundamentals. Number 2, never take shortcuts. By the way, Wendy's restaurant, you want to know what the belief was, why they have square hamburgers? Did you ever read that in the biography? Square hamburgers. Why they don't trim off and make them round? Because the founder of Wendy's restaurants believed in not cutting corners. So that's just a thought. Raise your standards. And then number 3, Michael Jordan's rule was when you've exhausted all other resources and energies, pull yourself through on heart alone. Buy into a vision that's bigger than your paycheck or the paycheck you don't have right now, I'm sorry to say for some of you. Buy into a vision that's big, that's grandiose. think bigger than you've ever thought before. Think about ways that you can serve humanity as a whole. And if you do that with some effort and belief and sweat and tears, hey, you'll make it happen. All right, I wish you the best. Now take these concepts and go out there, demand the best from yourself, and unleash your greatness within.